Hello. Welcome to the 5th episode. How are we starting this one? We gotta start something funny.
I won't interrupt. Do we? Funny again.
Okay, yeah, we're all too tense and it's awkward now. So
No.
Don't
Zach,
say
you
it,
started.
then it's awkward. Welcome to episode 5 of the Third Pedal Podcast. This is our first episode with a guest, our father, who got us all into this craziness.
you need to talk closer into your mic, sir.
That's my signature thing for this year.
What's your signature thing?
This. Remember my pictures from vacation?
Oh yeah,
Rock and roll dad.
I feel like
Boat with my feet up.
as we were going back, like every time we watch old family videos, I feel like that's what we see, and it's just like right. Like every time we
Yeah.
see dad in old family videos, it's exactly how you are now. It's just you've always been.
Yeah.
That same.
Well,
same sense of
consistency is
humor.
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Consistency is. All right, what are we talking about this
All
week?
right, I've got some notes. If you guys want to pull up the Google Drive, I have the notes in there.
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
sweet.
Am I supposed to be looking at that?
No.
You're the
You were in the
interviewee.
dark.
I don't get to know the answer.
You're in the hot seat.
All right.
So, I'm going to talk basically. We talked a lot about the last episodes, our cars, crazy stuff we've done with our cars, issues we've had with our cars, and all of that stuff. So, since you're the one who got us into all of this stuff, we wanted to ask you about your first cars
All right.
to start.
Sounds good.
First car, what was it?
First car was a 1969 Dodge Charger.
Which is cooler than anybody's first car.
Yep.
basically.
Dad just
It was,
Dunk.
yeah, it was a rust bucket. I paid $300 for it. It had no exhaust. It literally had the Y pipe was cut short and torched off.
Like under the seats.
Like not even under the seats, just a foot from the engine.
Oh, wow. By the firewall.
And so it was a little bit loud, surprisingly not crazy loud, probably because it was such a big car.
Yeah.
And
what motor
Loved
was in
it.
that thing?
it was just a stock old 318 when I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it run when it was? Because you got it off the side of the road, didn't you?
No, I saw it in a parking lot behind an ice cream shop my dad took me to all the time.
Oh, really?
And interestingly enough, like I think it was even a year or so, kept seeing it there. And then finally, when I got old enough, started taking driver's ed, we went and figured out how to get it. We found the lady that owned it. She was in one of the apartments, like above the ice cream shop.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember what my dad did. I think he maybe just went knocking on doors and we're like, whose car is this?
I could totally
Who
see
owns
that.
the Charger?
Yeah.
You know, my dad, he would,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he does,
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we got it and, I was 15 and, just started working in my first body shop,
That's awesome.
which was a body shop in the back and a pizzeria in the front.
That's awesome.
So we called Gregorio's Pizza. Shout out to Gregorio's if you're still there. Yeah, he taught me, he was the first guy, him and the guys there in the back, the first body work lessons and painting. I'm sure if they do somehow see this, they would laugh just really laugh hard now because when I first started painting, I was just like, gob it on, drips. It was pretty bad.
I guess I need another coat to even that out.
Yeah, I put like
I drip too.
I'm sure they were just shaking their heads, but they taught me a lot, and then working at the body shop, then on off hours or on my own time, I could roll the Charger in and work on that.
That's awesome.
It basically had not much left of the rear quarter panels. It was very, very rusty.
Okay.
I think it was 3 or 4 colors. You guys saw one picture of that, I think. in the
Yeah, I saw it brown, I think.
front yard at Grandma's house. Maybe it was already primered then. Yeah.
No, I think it was like dirty rust brown.
Oh, is that
right?
what it was?
Is
It
the
was
one that we
like
saw?
rust and green and blue. It had different one different front
Yeah, I think I
saw
fender.
that.
and-
If
yeah.
we find the we should see if we can find the photo. We'll put it in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah.
It'll go on the air filter.
So yeah, that was the first car. We put fiberglass rear panels on it to lighten it up, and so we got it from the fiberglass shop up in Villa Park, Illinois. I wonder if that's even still there too. High performance shop. And then I wound up putting Chrysler's 400 high performance engine in it at that time. That was an interesting story because being a young kid and my dad didn't know a ton about engines and stuff, but he always went with me, worked on stuff with me and learned with me that way.
That's cool. I didn't know Grandpa worked with you
Yeah, I
on the
didn't
car.
either.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
neat.
Yeah. I mean, he taught me originally, which way to turn a screwdriver and,
Yeah, yeah.
and all that. And he did carpentry stuff. We built shelves and custom desks for my room. We built that sailboat together, the full boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Has he always been, because I know with us, with all of our cars, he always was like, I mean, it's okay. It's not my Passat, but like, it's no Volkswagen. Like, was he always like that with his old bugs and stuff like that too?
Yeah. He brought the green bug over here from Germany. He brought the bug and my mom, grandma over, from Germany.
prized
She came a little later on the boat, but anyway. So yeah, that was, he was always, I mean, we had a Volkswagen as long as I can remember. We had the 411 and a 412 station wagon for a while. And, back in the day, right, we go on vacation to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And my sister and I just laid in the back.
Yeah.
We put the seats down.
awesome.
Forget seatbelts.
Yeah.
We would just put our sleeping bags and
Yeah.
lay in the back for the 12-hour drive or whatever it was to Minnesota.
That is so cool.
That's so cool.
But then one of those were rear engine, those 412 station wagons.
Really?
They were like a combi bus, but a station wagon.
What? Okay.
It was a
I don't know what
412,
this
you
is.
said?
Volkswagen 412 wagon.
world?
Yeah.
Oh, these things.
Are we going to have
Yeah.
another weird old car obsession now?
Oh boy.
Oh, no. Yeah, we are. These are rear engine?
Rear engine. Yeah.
So what
My
is
gosh,
it on?
these are the coolest.
Is it like the bug engine in the back of it? Like a little
Yep.
flat four?
Yep.
Oh,
No
yeah.
way. This is so
Okay.
cool. This doesn't look real. It looks like a concept car.
Yeah,
like a
right?
fake car. From
Yeah,
the
for
60s.
sure.
Yeah. There you go. I see the pictures. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
So-
he brought the bug back, and then
Yeah.
was this just once
Yeah.
they had
This was.
kids? they
Then
got
we had
this?
two of those. Then we had a Volkswagen Rabbit, like when they first came out.
Okay, like a Mark One.
Yep.
Nice.
And then after that, he had two diesel Rabbits.
Okay, so that's when the TDI thing started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first. I mean, well, out of order a little bit, but that wound up being my first college car.
Okay.
I actually traded the Charger in for my dad to get the new car.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that was kind of a funny looking trade, I'm sure. When I look back, the dealer must have just been like,
Yeah,
"What?"
yeah, we'll get into it
sweet.
more. But you had a full drag spec Charger
Yeah.
that you traded.
Pretty much. The only thing it was missing was a blower, and the guy that wound up getting it in Joliet did put a blower on it, took the hood off, put ladder bars on it.
Oh, so
and
cool.
Finished it as a drag car. But yeah. So yeah, working in the back of Gregorio's, getting the body work done, finally painting it. I actually asked Greg, I think it was Greg himself, or one of the guys to paint it for me.
Okay.
Because I wanted it to be perfect. So we did a impact blue, which was a Dodge color. And then we did metal flake and clear over that. Oh, and then the final touch was putting pinstripe flames on the indents on the door and on the hood.
That's so cool.
So it was pretty. It was not audacious. The flames were subtle, but you could see them.
Do you have pictures of that too?
I do. Yeah, I found a
Okay,
couple.
we gotta
yeah,
add those.
yeah. And then
never seen
I like
and-
vaguely remember seeing it from like the front 3/4, like a picture like that, I think, in a yard or something.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yeah, there's a
be
couple
really cool
more.
to look at.
And then, then it had, I tried aluminum slotted wheels. I don't know if you guys remember what those are. They were kind of like the classic sort of Hot wheel, kind of a dull aluminum. And then I wound up with Krager SS chromes on it.
Nice.
That looked a little better with the shine, with that. The paint was really, with the sparkle in it, was pretty cool.
Yeah, with that clear.
Yeah, those
finish
are
you did,
slotted
right?
aluminums. I
Yeah.
had those on it first.
Oh,
Yep.
sweet.
sorry.
Funny
Tyler,
thing
you
is,
oh, look, it
I
comes
was
up on a Charger.
going to make a General Lee.
Oh, okay.
That was the reason. That was the original reason I was after a 69 Charger.
Is it really?
'Cause
you
you know,
loved that show.
Back
right?
in the day, that was just fresh, that show, the
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard, and yeah, I was going to make a General Lee, and then my the uniqueness got taken away when I discovered somebody in Lamont, the town just over
Yeah.
from Lockport.
Yeah.
Some guy had already built one. And so I was a little disappointed, but then it turned out to be cool, because then I got less interested in matching that car perfectly, and got to just create my own thing. So
Yeah.
so it turned out to be a cool thing anyway. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you did a lot of work on the inside of that. I know we found at Grandma's house at one point that like notebook paper thing where you like had written
Yes.
down all the upgrades and stuff you did to it.
Oh yeah.
But this thing was not strictly just a daily driver. You did a little bit more with it. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
About some cool
yeah.
stuff you guys got to do back when like the laws were cool and people didn't get sued all the time and
Right.
people got to have fun with their cars.
You're referring to Essington Avenue in Joliet, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, back in those days, it was cruising was so different, and in Joliet, the police actually blocked off a road, Essington Road, at certain days of the week, and like told everybody, you kids, just go over there. We'll know where y'all are. And, you know, I thought it was pretty brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of stopped the dangerous street racing, stoplight to stoplight, although that still went on every once in a while. But nobody got crazy. And Essington Road became this crazy, crazy thing. I mean, guys would trailer in, you know, like strip cars and drag cars.
Wow.
And it became like, it kind of became an event thing during certain months of the summer in Joliet.
And it was one specific road they did this on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essington Road, right? It was like it was like this beautiful 4-lane prepped road that went out to Joliet Junior College.
Oh, okay.
And back then that was it. It was like Jefferson Avenue, main drag in Joliet there, west side of Joliet kind of. The mall was out that way.
Okay.
And then Essington Road went out to the college and there was like nothing. Both sides of the road was, you know, cornfields.
That's awesome.
Now I've been back, I don't know, a couple of years back, I remember, and it's just obviously it's crazy built up neighborhoods and speed limit 30. And it's like, just makes me laugh when I think of what used to go on there.
Yeah.
Speed limit 30. It's like, oh, if they only knew, you know.
It's probably new pavement and everything too, right?
Yeah,
so you
I
can
did.
see all the tire
I did
marks.
look. I
Yeah.
wondered because, you know, that first 100 yards of road or so was just black, just full of the burnout residue. That's awesome. Yeah. Because that was the
it's like
start line, you know, and it was good old fashioned, you know, the hand starter person there, 2, 3, 2, 1, drop the arms and go, you know.
That's so cool.
And that was pretty cool. Pretty cool setup.
What's the fastest you think you ever went on that road?
On that road, I think I probably topped off at maybe 140 in the Charger.
Wow.
And what was it an eighth mile or quarter mile? Like, what were you guys
That
doing?
was a quarter mile.
And then did you just have people at the end who were watching it, or
Yep.
was it just kind of the honor system? And
Yeah, just people at the other end, and it got fairly serious for a while. There was guys that, you know, there was pink slip racing going on.
Really?
And, yep. Wow. And when I got the Trans Am, which I guess we'll get to later, I did race that a few times, and you know, made $50 here and there, and then I kind of chickened out after, you know, when it came to pink slips. And there was this one guy, I just had a feeling he was a sleeper. It was a black vet with just limousine black windows, supercharger sticking out of the hood.
Oh no.
But it was it was kind of quiet. He must have had real good Walker mufflers or something on it. And so it wasn't super loud, but it was like a slot car. Man, he would hit it, and the back end would squat just a little and just launch.
wow.
And he surprised, you know, dudes come up there with nitrous, bunch of Camaros and whatnot. And Jeff Curie, the guy I think I've mentioned before a few times that lived around the block from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to him, but I never saw those two race. That would have probably been an awesome race because Jeff's Camaro was an 8-second Camaro. Wow. And that is moving.
You got to think about like the sound there must have been insane because it's not like Civics and like little turbo cars and stuff. It's like big blown nitrous V8s.
Yeah,
Just
that was
ripping.
it. It was big block versus small block. There was no four bangers, no turbos, no
like all-wheel
rice
drive,
burners.
no
you know,
electric launch control.
can
and
I
like
say
all that
rice burner
stuff.
on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We'll allow it. We'll start beeping down.
All right.
With how hard we've ripped on cars so far, I think we're
okay.
past that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The BMW people are already mad at us.
Yeah.
The
I
Honda
see.
Crew hates
people.
us.
That's fine. They
All
can't
right.
catch us. So
Good. So we're safe. We're
They
safe.
can catch me for sure.
like a stock SI could catch me. Okay.
Oh, ouch.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So that was Essington Road, and it was cool because
So cool.
there was like the McDonald's. I'm probably going to get this. There was a McDonald's. There was the White Castle. There was probably a Burger King. I honestly can't remember. But there were like 4 restaurants, and if you were, you know, all the Pontiacs hung here, all the Chevys hung here.
Oh, neat.
And if you wanted to race somebody, you would just pull the Chevy. You'd pull your Pontiac into the Chevy lot, rev your engine, and then it was like someone follow me in a race. And then
It's like out of a movie. This is so cool.
oh yeah, and then you would head down to Essington Road. You'd probably do a couple stoplight pulls,
Yeah.
and then get down to Essington Road, and somebody would make it fair, and you'd go for it. You know,
Wow.
it might, you know. It was
That's
everything from betting a cheeseburger to $20-$30 here and there. So
Yeah.
And so,
Pinks.
what was the culture between like all the different makes, because like that's something we talked about in the Tail of the Dragon episode. Was like it was really neat. It was just a bunch of car people. Like there's still people who like Mustangs and like BMWs and stuff, but people seem to be pretty cool with it. Like was there a lot of actual anger, frustration with different makes and stuff, or was it all everybody was just cool car people and there was just like some fun competition going on?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. You had, you were a diehard Dodge guy or Chevy guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you could tell the guys that were.
Yeah.
And most everybody, I'd say, I think I'd stick to my 50-50 comment, but I think everybody was there to have a good time and not get hurt. But in every crowd, there's always a couple of boneheads. Yeah. And so that they were there, but most of the time it was they were you had this underlying don't bring that Pontiac in here. Yeah. And like a couple dude, like I think I can only think of one fight that actually broke out when a dude just literally seriously, I don't even think he was from the area. Yeah. He just pulled in to the Ford lot with a Camaro parked like to go to McDonald's. And I'm pretty sure there was a little fight, little skirmish came out, because they thought he was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And those were the kind of the guys that were on the other end of that spectrum of, don't bring your your Ford in my lot or whatever. And
this guy's just trying to get a cheeseburger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was
double.
Yeah.
This guy's following me.
And that's what
face kicked in.
Sorry. The cops were more upset about that. They were like,
yeah,
we don't want you guys fighting. Don't be messing around with the restaurants. Leave the parking lots alone. No burnouts in the parking lots. Leave the streets clean. That's why I think they tried to get everybody down to
cool.
Essington Road.
They were basically like, people are going to do this anyways, so let's at least try and have some kind of regulation and keep it at least contained for a couple of days so it's less dangerous.
And in this day, and I'm sure this still happens today, but this is in the age when some cops had their own cars and souped them up themselves. Or I don't even know. I'm not sure how that worked for sure, but maybe they had a budget they could.
When you say their own cars, you mean their patrol cars or like
their patrol car was theirs, or maybe they had a budget. But I remember, I think I told you guys this story. I got we'll just say quickly, I got in a race on Route 80, and and I wound up blowing a radiator hose.
Oh, okay.
So I was pulled over, and a cop came, and very shortly after the race, I'm thinking, oh. Okay, he must have been on one of the overpasses or something. I'm in trouble. But he's just pulling over to help. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" But getting in his car, I kind of just noticed. You guys all notice things like louvers cut in hoods that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And things like that.
This isn't his patrol car.
And this is like a Dodge Diplomat. The ultimate goofy 4-door.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
446 pack.
Okay.
Yeah, 446 pack, supercharged, just a subtle bump in the hood. There must have been that much room in there.
Wow.
It had like a low profile, like 871 blower or something. That's not right. Not 871. Whatever it was, it had to be, So because he had wound up giving me a ride so I could go call my dad.
Yeah.
So this was actually very near where Aunt Sylvie lives.
Oh, okay.
The Route 80 and Briggs Street.
Yeah.
Exit there by southeast of Joliet.
We'll probably cut the location out.
Yeah, right. Okay. So he goes to give me a ride, and then he's like, "So what do you got in that thing?" And he's, so that's when the cops. That's what I'm getting at.
That's so cool.
This was in the day and age when the cops would be like, "Sweet ride,"
Yeah.
and have a mutual respect for the car, and then he's a gearhead himself, and so he takes off in this squad car, and I'm like, in the seat.
Wow.
Like, what is this?
Like, you think that Dodge is fast.
Yeah. So he's like, he said something, he kind of like winked at me when he left me at the gas station. He's like, yeah, make sure you're not running my territory when you're trying to race. And I was like, to this day, I don't know. Like, what do you mean when I was he knew I was racing? Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He might have heard the noise but the funny thing about that race was it was against an MG.
An MG.
So I'm in the Chargers cruising home from a date and on 80 on someplace in Illinois, and
it's okay. We looked up the statute of limitations.
Yeah, we're good. We're fine.
And this little MG comes up next to me and does the thing. He's like, slowing down. I'm like, look, I literally was like, give me a break. Yeah. And he's like, 2, 3, give give me the high sign, and so
And then it felt like he was in reverse.
he was. I mean, I just pulled, and it was like gone.
Did you?
And I kept it
just
at
push the gas
a very
pedal a little
high
harder.
number on the speedometer, and saw no headlights, no nothing for a while, and then I'm watching the temperature. I'm like, what?
Oh no.
So yeah, I blew a splitter radiator hose.
Oh man.
Pulled over right away, and I met the nice cop. So anyway,
That's really
yeah.
funny.
But that was that time, right? I think those days are gone forever. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You see about some of the cops out west that have the Cobra Mustangs and
Yeah.
and the SS Camaros and the real cars.
Yeah.
Vets. California, there's some Ferraris and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And but anyhow,
It's
yeah.
hard. Like I think a lot of the like the culture around suing people and the culture around stuff like that
Yeah.
like has ruined a lot of it, because I feel like like anytime I've ever interacted with a cop or anytime I've ever had like some sort of interaction that way, it never seems to be like it seems like they want that too, but they just can't do
Yeah.
it because like too many people will like there's
Yeah.
lawsuits that they have to worry about and damage to property and all this stuff. And
Everything's recorded at all times. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wish you could just have that though, of like,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, if you leave like out west of town, like that's everybody's gonna go have fun out there. And
Yeah.
we're gonna let it be there, and then we're gonna trust that you're not gonna do it over here. Like,
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
really cool.
if they just shut it down somewhere,
Yeah.
that'd be sweet.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about. You already went into getting pulled over. I want to talk about that in a second, but I want you to go over the second car that you had, which was at the same time as your Charger, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was
77 Trans Am. And so that had a 400 in it, just a 400 turbo 400 automatic. But this is when I was getting to know Jeff Curie, the neighbor, way better. And so that engine got blown, and I think it just spun a bearing, for no particular. Well, I probably helped it.
for no reason.
Downshifting and whatnot. And
For some, when you say some of these engines and the stuff that's happening with them, can you like explain them a little bit too? Because I'm over here frantically googling what all these.
Oh.
You're like, oh, it's got this in it.
it was
Like,
nothing special. 77 Trans Am had a 6.6 liter, just a V8,
It sounds so big.
400.
2.5 liter.
2.0.
Yeah.
Pretty sure my biggest engine is in my diesel. Oh no, the 330. That was my biggest engine.
Yeah. So, but it was kind of a, I think it might have had 325 horsepower. I mean, just regular 4-barrel. Nothing really, not a. Sorry.
Our first car.
I know.
Our other episode, we were comparing ours, and we were
Yeah, we
like,
talked about our horsepower.
dude, his Datsun's so fast. It has
Yeah.
150 horsepower.
Yeah.
You're talking
My
about the
first
end
car just had just made 3 digits of horsepower.
Like it was
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's 6.6 liter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Good point. So,
Okay, so your 6.6 liter, 300 horsepower garbage engine. Continue.
right. So we at this time then I was blessed to work at a car shop of some sort a lot, and at this point I was working at a place called Ranks Used Service. It's an interesting shop. This was the foreign car shop.
Oh, okay.
So Volkswagens, some Porsches, and some Audis, and all the Volkswagen family of things. And he was a local Volkswagen expert, and so my dad knew him.
Okay.
He always took his bugs there and his rabbits and whatnot, and then he wound up leasing a couple cars from the guy, and somehow a Honda Civic snuck in there. I'm not sure how that even happened to this day, but yeah, my dad wound up with this little Honda. Maybe it was a loaner for an extended period of time. Anyway, I don't know how that happened, but suddenly
Like,
a
get
Honda
it
Civic, yeah, a Honda Civic for a few months. But and the old, it's just anyway, the old really bad one. And so, but when the engine blew, since I worked at that engine shop, I had. And then had an old timer, probably younger than I am now, but one of the mechanics there, who was a gearhead, and he was like, "Dude, we got to do this." So he told me the cam to get, the jets in the carb, the hooker headers. I mean, we just completely tricked out that engine. And I got to back up a little bit
Nice.
as to how that car got in the family and wound up becoming mine.
Yeah.
My mom actually picked it out.
Wait, she
I
picked it
didn't know
out?
that.
Wait,
She was, she wanted a car. It was, back, in those days, my grandma's house had a 1-car garage, and that's how it kind of was back then. Dad worked, mom stayed home, raised the kids, 1-car garage, 1-car family. Well, at some point, you know, she started hauling us around to sports events and whatnot, and groceries, whatever, all.
Yeah.
And she actually didn't get her driver's license for a long time in the States because she was from Germany.
Yeah.
And my dad drove everywhere, right? So it just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Back, you know, 70s and whatnot.
Right. She never did before.
So anyhow, yeah, she wanted a cool car.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
And one of my grade school teachers, Mr. Bush, had a Trans Am. And you know, she'd walk me to school or meet me at school for a sports thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And when the family discussion started, and my mom's like, I think I'm gonna get a car, blah blah blah, and she's like, I think I'm gonna go get a Trans Am, and I'm like, you know, I think I'm probably just 14 at the time. I must have just turned 15 because I was already figuring out how to get that charger.
Okay, but it was pre-charger.
It was.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
I don't say it was my first car because it was technically hers.
It was
Yeah.
grandma's. That's so funny.
Yeah. So that's why I have it in that order, because it really was technically hers. You know, they got it for her.
Yeah.
Of course, I was eyeballing that thing from day one, right? Yeah. I'm like, what are you going to, we got to do something with this.
Like, yeah, I think this is a smart car decision. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Mom, the groceries will fit in that trunk. No problem. Yeah. That's a perfect grocery getter. And then all my buddies at school were like, your mom got what? You know? And then she would bring me to school and that, or bring me to sports events and that. And they were just like, oh man, you know, must be cool, you know?
I can just see her pulling up to the grocery store once you did the cam and everything. Or did you take it over at some point then?
Yeah.
Okay.
After, you know, I drove it a lot. She started letting me drive it a lot when I got my driver's license. And then, you know, I had the Charger and the Trans Am and a couple motorcycles. And you know, they did a cool thing, which, you know, we kind of did, which was, as long as I got a B average, you know, then they paid my auto insurance.
Yep.
Because believe me, the auto insurance on a teenager with 400 plus horsepower vehicles
Yeah.
and 2 motorcycles, I don't even know what they paid for insurance, but it had to be insane. And
Well, good thing you drove them so safely.
yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So so that's where the Trans Am came. You know, it was actually picked by her.
That's awesome.
I didn't know that.
And I mean, I had some. I'm sure I was looking at ads with her and saying,
Yeah.
no, get this one. You know.
I definitely thought it was something that you like snuck in somehow. And I thought it was after your Charger. I didn't realize it was.
No, it was actually
that's really
first.
cool.
Yeah. And so when, you know, engine blows, and now I'm pretty much the only one driving it. And so when we rebuilt the engine, we just completely went nuts with it. It was about 450 horse when we were done, and Crane Street Dominator 2 camshaft. So it had
Nice
a
job.
really nice lope, but it was still drivable, and
Okay.
it was a fairly high lift cam. It was just a real good street cam. And, you know, the only drawback to the car was that it was a live rear axle still. So, you know, way before independent suspension
Yeah.
was in American cars.
Yeah.
So really, really crazy fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
And really did good on the track. That was the first car that I actually did SCCA Sports Car Club anything with, in Joliet SCCA Club. And you know, ironically, just 2 or 3 races, and then had to get rid of it. I sold that. You know, I traded the Charger in for my dad to get a new car for his work, and that's when he got the last Diesel Rabbit
Gotcha.
that he had. And then wound up selling the Trans Am and a bunch of guns and a couple motorcycles. I was collecting rifles at the time, and that's when I had that Armalite I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And just to go to college.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, my first couple years of college were covered because Grandma took a job there at Lewis. And then I wound up getting free tuition because she worked there. And but then when I switched to Northern, had to pay for everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that so then I had the third car is not even worth mentioning. It was a Chevy Cavalier 5-speed, you know.
At least
It was a
5
Type T though, which did not mean turbo. Yeah, that thing was crazy, but I drove it like it was a race car because it was still stick shift, you know.
Yeah, it had to
So
be fun. There's
it
still
was-
small little cars like.
Yeah, but it was a 2.2 liter Puke engine. I think it might have maybe had 100. It was the lowest horsepower engine I've ever had in a car, which is kind of funny when you think about that and you go backwards, right?
Yeah.
Went
You
from
went from
300 and 400 and almost 500 horsepower down to 150. You know,
Wait, what year is it?
it was must have been an 85
Drive
Chevy Cavalier
Type T.
Type T. I don't even know what that,
Yeah, what was it?
T for try. They get an A for trying, I guess. It was a little unibody, 4-cylinder front wheel drive,
Oh.
and it was white, and it had black. It was white with black trim, and I think it even had some goofy little spoiler on the back.
Like this guy.
Was it a coupe?
And yeah,
Kind of looks like
it
a
was
mini.
that, but sportier, like this one. Yeah.
Looks like a mini Monte Carlo almost.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like
Yeah,
the
I
old
almost thought
ones?
it kind of
maybe.
looked like a Mark III Supra with the long back window. Was it
We're
like
on
this?
different pages.
Well,
Yeah, we're
it's funny you point up that one right there. Is we actually had a hatchback. Mom and I bought a hatchback Cavalier as our buy a car together to get married car.
was that the only car you guys bought brand new?
No, we didn't buy that one brand new. We bought
Oh,
that
okay.
one used. The brand new car we bought was the Beretta,
Oh, that's right.
Chevy Beretta GTS,
Yes.
and it did not live up to. I think that's when my distaste for Chevy's performance cars. Here I go. Okay, here we go, guys. Right?
Bye, Chevy people.
And maybe it's because I wasn't driving real Chevy performance
Yeah.
cars. I'll give you that, guys.
I mean, you did have one real Chevy performance car later.
right.
So I brought this up earlier when you mentioned that cop picking you up and showing you his Ford. I want to talk about tickets or pullover stories. So with those cars, must have had some crazy or not crazy, but what was the craziest one you've had? Not necessarily just with those cars, but
Craziest.
ever.
Well, I think 2 stories stand out. One of them's hilarious and motorcycle related, actually, not car related, but performance stuff. And the other one was when the only time I actually got a ticket in one of my crazy cars, which is actually pretty good ratio when you think about how many years and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the funny story, I think, is again, sign of the times. In the motocross racing part of stuff I drove fast, we had a bunch of buddies would drive to various places around Lockport because you could do that back then. Ride our 4-wheelers to the trails on the roads.
That's
Cops
awesome.
would just be like, just be careful, guys. Right out of Grandma's driveway, right down the streets, and go to wherever the trails are. And we would cut a lot of trails. A lot of farmers would have backwoods or something, and they would let us ride on their property. And so we would bring hatchets and machetes, and they literally would let us make a trail, make jumps and all this stuff
cool.
on their property. Again, sign of the times, right?
Yeah.
Liability. Who's going to let kids do that today?
really.
Right. Yeah. Hey, let these kids drive on
But-
4-wheelers with hatchets and machetes.
And half of
on
them
your
aren't
land.
wearing helmets. And anyway, but I always wore my gear. That's probably why I did more crazy stuff. But anyhow,
Hey, you have some pretty good stories with that. We'll have to get into that in
Yeah.
a later episode.
Yeah.
yeah. But so that funny story being pulled over, it was like midnight. We had just spent we just were into it. We had to finish our trail that night. So we finished this awesome setup in a guy's property. And I was just riding home. Speed limit and everything, just riding home. But if you can imagine, I got a machete through my belt here, a hatchet here, my Rambo knife strapped to my leg. And I didn't have any firearms, but all these large weapons hanging off me, and I'm blazing past down Hamilton Avenue, going Hamilton Street, going home
Is this on a dirt bike or?
on a dirt bike, yeah, and
Yeah.
on my Baja bike with the 3 lights and the handlebar and everything. And
That's
so-
awesome.
So yeah, guy pulls me over, and he knows me. That's the other thing, most of the cops know you. Back, Lockport was just small enough back then, I guess, and if you were in or on vehicles that may or may not get pulled over more frequently, then they kind of knew who it was.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Curie, and they called him the Hulk. I think I told you guys that story. He would outrun them, but you can't outrun a radio. By the time he got pulled over, then he'd tear his shirt off and he'd go, "Ah!" And then they give him a ticket.
Really?
What?
Yeah, that's why.
What?
Yeah, that was his reputation anyway. I never seen him actually do it, but everybody told that was the story that Jeff Curie would. He had this 8-second Camaro that he drove on the street, and
Oh, is this the one he lived pretty close to you and it looked
right
like
around the block.
crazy? And
Yeah.
oh man, I remember you telling me about this guy.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know he ripped his shirt off in front of the cops when he finally got caught.
yeah, and he would.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so
And he went to jail how many times?
I'll say that was the story, but that's the story I heard from many, many different people. So I mean, I guess for whatever it's worth. So yeah, so this cop pulls me over. He's like, "What you up to there, Morgan?" You know, I'm like, "We were just cutting a trail down in Purcell's Maze, you know, and yada yada." And does he know you're doing that? I'm like, "Yeah, he knows. You can call him. I mean, maybe not right now, but you know." But he was like, "Yeah, get out of here, Morgan." You know,
That's
so that's probably the funniest thing. You know, that's today. I just couldn't see that happening. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Driving around with a bunch of machetes hanging out.
Yeah, all
and
these
stuff.
weapons hanging out of your belt.
Then so the time I actually got a ticket, the Trans Am was hit by a drunk driver, and when I was in high school, and that's probably a story for another time. But it got fixed and repainted, so brand new paint job. Right, it's like the weekend after the brand new paint job, and I'm just coming back from the mall with my mom, and I get up behind a gravel truck. And the gravel truck's throwing stuff, and I'm like, new paint, you know. So I take a peek around the truck, and my mom doesn't like the car anymore because it's all hot rodded out, you know.
Yeah.
Headers and glass packs under the seats, and that's it.
Is that where it ended? Under
That's
the
the
seat?
exhaust, yeah.
That'd be violent.
And so I take a peek. There's cars, but plenty far away for this thing because it
Yeah.
was pretty fast. And so I'm like, "Wah!" Fly around the truck. But, you know, I went from, 48 to, 90 in about 2.5 seconds. And of course, as I'm pulling back in front of the garbage, the next car coming is a cop.
Oh, awesome.
So
And
he
he's
caught
like-
you at the fastest.
So he's
speed,
like,
too.
I gotta give you a ticket, because it was more than 20 over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 45 there. But I'm like,
twice the
I'm
speed
like,
limit.
"Sir, I'm so sorry. I just pulled right over as soon as he,
Yeah.
we just waited for him. And my mom's still like, I wish you wouldn't do that, I'm like, Mom, it just got painted, and-
Yeah. Like, this is the only time I've ever sped.
yeah.
I never do this.
Yeah, that was exhilarating for me, too.
This thing is
man.
quick.
Wow, I didn't know it went that fast,
And what's wrong with the exhaust?
yeah. Right. So yeah, I just said, sorry, man. This new paint job, the gravel truck. And he's like, I get it, but
I regret nothing.
I got to give you a ticket, man.
Yeah.
I can't let this one go. And
Yeah, you
so
can't
that
really
was,
argue that
and
one
all
much.
the crazy nonsense I've pulled
Oh, that's
off,
it.
and I'll just say, I guess, got away with. That is the only actual ticket I got.
Wow. Did you have any other
Yeah.
crazy, like, pullovers? You got pulled over, but they let you go?
There were probably, yeah, three or four more. Like one of them was, I was this close to getting a ticket, but I was just honest with the cop. I'm like, yes, we were doing a 1/4 mile pull on the highway at highway speed. I'm sorry, sir. And I was just like, sorry, sir, and I'm like, but the guy smoked me. It was another.
Oh, so he didn't give you one out of pity. He's like, you lost.
No, and so I'm like, did you clock the other guy? Because he left me in the dust,
Yeah.
And he's like, my partner got him. Let me check. And he's like, gets on the radio.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He tells me, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, he got him. And he's going to give him a huge tip. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Just don't do this anymore.
Wow.
And he lets me go.
Wow.
And so, there was a lot of that, so I don't know if,
Wow.
I didn't.
Pays to be second, everybody.
Right.
You win when you lose.
That time. Yeah. I don't know what in the world that was, because it was a very stock looking Camaro of all things. And
Weird.
That one hurt. That one hurt because, it was Camaro versus Charger and big block. And I'm thinking, this is a 305 Camaro. Give me a break,
And then
That-
you just,
I mean, maybe nitrous. I don't know what, but he walked away from me and I could do nothing.
I think we just found where the disdain for Chevy came from.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
blamed
That's
it on the Cavalier.
Still sleeping at night, just wakes up.
Camaro. So, yeah.
That's nuts.
So
Well,
that one.
so I wanted to bring that up too, because I know we've had some.
Yeah, we've had
which
some
I
weird
think you
stories.
probably know all. Maybe. You'll find out some new
Well, I
information.
learned something now.
Yeah, maybe. So, Tyler, I know you have a funny pullover story, don't you? In Texas,
It's not a funny one. It's still
it was funny to us.
it's still sour.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just we were my fiance at the time and I were driving to Texas, my wagon of all my cars. And it was such a long drive. We left like 5 a.m. that morning and it was 1 a.m. and we I definitely sped on that trip. And I didn't get pulled over any of
It's within the time window.
Yeah, it's within the statute of limitations. Careful.
I sped if it was in Wisconsin, but in the other states it was the speed limit. And
That's
What?
good. That's a good one. But officer,
I sped on this highway at this time.
Yeah, no. So we were just like, it was, I mean, we were driving forever. So
And
it
you
was,
drove
we
straight
left
through.
5 a.m. Yeah, we drove
All the
straight
way.
through. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Wow.
don't stop. So left 5 a.m. that morning, and then it was 1 a.m. the next day. And we were just like, we were, so it was like 21 hours into the trip. Or that doesn't exactly add up. It was very late into the trip, and
long
we were
drive,
we were only like 20 minutes away from our location, and I'm just like going in Texas, like almost all the roads are 75s, so I'm cruising at 75, and then this car in front of me was going 75, and they started just to slow down, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I like pulled over, I got into the next lane and just sped up to pass them. And then all of a sudden there's just like a cop just like completely blacked out sitting in between, and then the start of a construction zone.
Awesome.
So I'm like, cool. So then I see the construction zone, like slam on my brakes and like get behind the normal car. And then he was like behind me so fast.
They get out quick.
It blew my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause he
Almost
was
like they're sitting there with
and
launch
then all of a
control.
sudden there was just
Yeah,
lights
right.
behind me. And I literally thought there was a cop following me already. Cause I was like, there's no way this is the same guy.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah.
And so I pulled over. I felt so bad too because my wife was like asleep, so I had to wake her up. I was like, "Hey, we got pulled over." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're pulled over." So
so
he
just
came
let
over
her sleep.
huh?
Dude,
Just let her sleep.
you
No,
shoulda-
because they come on that side. That would have
Oh,
freaked her
yeah.
out.
you should have been like,
Just
my
1 a.m.
gosh.
knocked out, and also just on the
Yeah.
window.
Yeah,
you should have been like, babe,
Yeah.
are you okay to drive? Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get arrested. I was going really fast.
Oh my gosh.
Just freak
She
her
would
out for a
have
second.
started like, hyperventilating.
Oh yeah,
not
maybe
have been
don't
good.
do that.
Yeah, no. So he came over and just right off the bat didn't like me. Even though I had a perfect record. I've never been pulled over. Never even had a warning. Nothing. And so he like knocked on the window. I rolled down. He's like, "Do you have any idea how fast you were going?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I was like, "It's a 75." I was going like around 75. And he's like, "It's a construction zone." And I'm like, I mean, like it's the start of a construction zone.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wow, no, I don't know what the laws are in Wisconsin, but here that's not okay." And I was like,
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
okay, dude. So I just knew from that. I told him too. I was like, if you see my record and you see I'm from Wisconsin, you also see I have a perfect record. Like I've never even had a warning. I've had nothing on my record. He's like, "Well, that doesn't mean much here," and then walked away.
You're done.
So I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting a ticket. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
I can do." So yeah, he came back, gave me a little bit more of guilt tripping, even though I'm like, dude, I'm in a wagon, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going. I'm not even like trying to get away with racing here. Like
This is
don't-
like
Right.
pre-R bumper and nice headlights.
yeah, this was
too.
nothing, dude.
Yeah.
There was nothing cool about it.
Stock TDI.
Yeah, no, like bone dry. Yeah, just nothing. So yeah, I tried to give me like a little more of a lecture. I just told him, I'm like, I've never done this before. This is the very start of a construction zone. Like I wasn't in the construction zone yet. It was like the sign saying like construction zone ahead.
Yeah.
And so by the time we were pulled over was like at the start of it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
And so he gave me the whole thing on like, if there was people here and you hit someone, you would have killed them. And I'm like, it's 1 a.m, dude. Like,
You're like,
I
also,
don't want
I
to
would
hear
never-
this.
I would never speed intentionally in a construction zone.
Yeah,
I didn't know
exactly.
I was
Right.
speed- yeah.
It was just,
It's
I
just
mean,
a
I
bad
think he was just looking for
situation
every
all around.
excuse to give me a ticket. So,
Yeah.
and he ended up doing the super nice thing too of giving me a ticket that was either pay online or show up in Texas. And he said it for a date when we weren't going to be there. And so I was like, cool, dude. So
You probably said we're in town for a wedding. Whatever.
well, yeah, I told him all that. I was like, we're from Wisconsin. We're here for 3 days. Like, we're just here for a wedding. We're gonna be on
It's
our
like
way.
5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So he said it for like 2 months out. It's just he just didn't like me.
Yeah.
He just from the start was not
That's
happy
rough.
with
Bad
me.
night.
Yeah, no.
probably.
So that was salty. And I've never had another ticket. I've been pulled over like 5 times since that, and every single time the cops always like, "Oh, like you're chill," and then they just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Just
so,
what have you been pulled over for?
5
Speeding?
times. You want to explain that?
Yeah.
okay, so every single time though has been like it's been like a very chill experience, but literally every time I'm pretty sure has been for my registration. I don't know,
I know,
why.
a
I
couple-
cannot remember to register. I can't, dude. It's always
Okay.
expired.
You need to take it next time for sure.
Yeah. Well, no, because I'll just have him like I was on my way to work one day, and I just like a cop just is like following me, and he's just like when a cop's close, you just kind of know it's over. So I'm just pulling, and I
Yeah.
see him there, and I'm like, I'm gonna get pulled over. So as soon as he
Well.
flashes his lights, I'm like, all right. So I just like pull over. He walks up. He's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, hey, your registration expired in June, and this was like November, and so I was
following
like.
Yeah. Right.
I asked him, I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I remember that's when I hit the deer. So the
Yeah.
car was in the garage. So it was like I wasn't driving it anyway. So I just never thought about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I told him, I was like, that's an honest mistake. I was like, I hit a deer back then. So I had the car in the garage and I was like fixing it. I just completely forgot. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, like I'll get to work and I'll go ahead and get on it. He's like, okay. Yeah, I mean, that was it. So I'm not going to give you anything. Just have a good day and just get that taken care of. And I was like, cool, thanks. And then one of them was when I was going to pick up our little sister from youth group. And it's literally 2 minutes from our house.
If that.
Yeah. And I pulled out and I started heading to there. And then I saw a cop pull out after me. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, there's no way this is for me.
Yeah.
And he just flips his lights on. And I'm like, what? Like, what am I doing? Again, like, same wagon. It's only been in my wagon. I've never been pulled over in any other car.
Really?
Yeah. It's all this has been in my wagon.
Wow.
And
To be
pulled me
fair,
over.
your E30 was probably too slow to get pulled over.
But
So
it was loud, dude. I think I had no
that's
muffler.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the same thing. My registration was expired. But that one I paid for it and I had it renewed, but apparently I paid for it on the wrong website.
Oh, I
So
remember that.
like
That I knew about.
It was like, yeah, dude, it was a Gov website, but it wasn't like registration. So and then I ended up calling their tech support and they definitely were not like the people I should have paid. So they ended up giving me my money back though. So it was kind of it was like the most polite scam.
It was like
in
a
the world.
legit
Yeah.
It was
sidestep.
real weird. Yeah.
was it like a service who registers it for you kind of thing?
No.
No?
Nope. Nope, because I showed him it
Weird.
and he's like, I've never seen that before. Definitely see if you can get your money back.
Really?
Yeah.
Yikes.
So ended up doing that. He ended up being super nice too and just being like, well, I see like you tried to, but
Yeah.
obviously some website like tricked you into doing this. So like just see if you can get your money back and take care of it. And I guess the one time it doesn't really count as a pullover. This cop was like following me all around downtown. And I was like, this is weird. I was like, he's probably going somewhere else. So then I like pulled in to like go to a coffee shop and he pulled in behind me. And I'm like, okay, there's no way he's going to this coffee shop with me.
Yeah.
So I got out. He didn't even flash his lights on. He just like kind of parked behind me, rolled down his window. He's like, "Hey, bud." I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Good." He's like, "Just wanted to let you know your registration's expired."
Dude,
Still?
register your car, dude.
Yeah. So, So I was like, "Wait, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I always ask that too. I don't know why, but I'm always like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
Gotcha.
So I told him, I was like, well, we were just gonna go grab some coffee. So like, I'll just sit down. Oh my gosh, I forgot. That's when I registered it to the wrong website. That's hilarious.
So you had a
Maybe
whole
I
process
just got like
registering
hacked in the
car.
coffee
So
shop.
then the next one after that, you could have been like, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that must have been like within the same week then or something. Because
That's
I
crazy.
registered it and then it was like I got pulled over and I was like, I just did this. Like,
Yeah.
are you the same person?
So I had something similar in my Audi. You were with me when I got pulled over in my A4.
I've been with you
when
pulled
I
over
first got it.
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Datsun
Two or
too,
three
right?
times. Yeah.
So the Datsun one was funny, and the Audi one, the recent Audi one was funny too. So I had something similar with the registration when I first got the Audi A4. So I had bought that one, a private party off of Craigslist, and I got a loan from it from a local bank. So I think they like issued it, and I picked up the check or something, and then I had to go pay for it and get the title. And then obviously you got to turn the title into the bank to because they hold the title.
Yeah.
while they have the lien on the car.
I didn't know you had a loan on that car.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
had to like meet the guy there too, right?
No, that was the Volkswagen. Wasn't that the
That
Jetta
was
that
the
we met
Volkswagen
him all
one
up
that was
there?
weird.
Because we took
Okay.
my Audi to go get your Audi, didn't we?
Right.
Yep.
That's
I think
right.
so. I think so.
That might have
So, anyways, I, did the thing, whatever, bought it, got the title, and then I just never brought it to the bank. So it never was like it never registered or whatever that I owned the car. So I had the
yeah.
plates on it and I registered it online and everything with my plates. But it was like, I think within a week or whatever. And we were going to the gym, I think.
Yeah.
And we got pulled over and, license registration, whatever. And he checked it. He's like, so whose car is this? It's like, no, it's my car. It's like, I just bought it like a week ago. He's like, no, this is not your car.
Oh.
And then he's like, these plates match a whatever Jetta. I guess I think I probably had prior. He's like, these plates match a Jetta, and this is registered under an Andrew. Like, you don't own this car. They're like thinking I stole the car. I'm like panicking. I'm
boy.
like, oh no. So I just like explain everything like that. I'm like, I don't know. I just bought the car and I got the title and I must not have dropped it off or whatever. I think I blamed it on the bank probably, but and then it turns out I never brought the title in. So then I brought the title in finally and registered it, and then it was
Wow.
all cool. But yeah, it's like
That's
freaked
great.
out
Yeah,
for a
no,
second.
you don't own this car. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, excuse me.
And then the first time I got pulled over was in the Datsun because my taillights didn't work. We had all sorts of electrical issues with
yeah.
that thing. And my taillights didn't work. And this is when I had the pipe going right out the side by the door. Remember?
Yes,
Straight
yes.
pipe right out the side,
like roughly where the officer is.
right where they stand. So it's like blowing on his leg.
His
And
pant legs are like.
and I left it on. Remember how I left it on? Because it like wouldn't start a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you want me to turn the car off?" He's like, "No, it's fine." And then after he's like, "Hey, just want to let you know your taillights don't work. Like, get them fixed." I was like, "All right, I'm going home right now. I'll take a look at it. I'll make sure I get it fixed." And he's like, "And I think your muffler's broken too." And I was like, "No, I did that on purpose."
Oh, whoops.
Do you remember that? Like, I did it on purpose. Yeah, I was like, "No, I did it on purpose.
Oh, no.
It sounds cooler. I just piped it out the side. It just goes right there, so it's probably louder right now because you're standing right there." He was just like, "All right, have a good day."
He's just sitting there.
Wasn't
He's
amused.
like, dude, don't say that.
He's like,
to
"What
me."
are you doing, dude?"
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. Like, why did you say that?
He probably walked up and saw it sticking out the side. He's like, I'm just gonna let this kid know that this is probably not cool. You're
Yeah,
like,
you can't
No,
have it
Jared,
like
I
that."
did it right there.
I was like, "No, I did that on purpose."
Would you like me to rev it for you?
Yeah. And then we left. I was like,
Right there, he just starts gunning it.
Yeah.
black smoke everywhere. Yeah. So similar thing in my Audi then. So recently I was pulled over right after I did the resonator delete. So it's, a little more sound. It pops
I like
and
how,
shifts and
I
stuff.
like how you turned to tell it to dad. Like, so then it's other
I
side.
didn't tell you. Yeah. So, whatever. It's a 35 mile an hour. It
Yeah.
was right off a stoplight, and I just go, and I didn't think I was like speeding up super fast. I just had it in manual mode.
Yeah.
Ran out first gear to 5,000, whatever, shifted.
Yeah,
So it
whatever.
pops a little
5,000,
bit.
6,000.
Yeah, but it was first gear. It was probably close to the speed limit then, but then I shifted to second and just kept my foot down and kept going. And then I slowed down, and I looked down, and it was in like the 50s or whatever. I was like, oh, I should slow down because there was like traffic or whatever. And then right as I'm going, there's a cop. It was like similar to what you said in Texas, just like right there. I'm just like, oh. And then immediately he's right behind me
Yeah.
Like,
and like lights on as he's pulling out, pulls me over.
Yeah.
And he got me for something. I wasn't speeding. I got away with that. I'm still in process, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But when he came up to the window, he's like, hey, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, I don't know. What happened? I was like, I don't think I was going that fast. He's like, yeah, you're doing beep, whatever. I'll say. You're doing
I
faster
see.
than you should have. Like, any reason you were going so fast? And I have a lot of reasons, right? I was picking up food. I was picking up takeout for Jess. I'm like, I could have been.
My wife's pregnant. She
right.
needs this now.
Yeah, my wife's pregnant. It's been a long day. I was just getting food. I didn't realize I was going a little bit faster. I just want to get the food and get home. Could have gone that. I was like, I just got this new exhaust modification.
You
And
didn't.
I did say this. Dude, I
Why
did
do you
say
become so
this.
honest as soon as a
I'm
cop?
just a real honest
as soon as a
person.
cop, you like start telling him everything.
I'm like, don't take me to jail. But I'm like, yeah, I just got this. I just did this thing to my exhaust. I was just hearing it. I didn't realize I was going that fast.
Yeah.
He's like, hang tight. Right back. Obviously, I'm giving you a ticket. Blah, blah, blah. Here's this. Anyways, yeah, so that was mine. But that's the only, I think that's the
That's
only
really
times,
funny.
though, I've been pulled over. That was my first ticket
Didn't you
ever.
You got pulled over in the Jeep once too, didn't you? I thought in the Cherokee you did.
Oh, yeah. And they wouldn't let me drive home. Remember? I had to call you at like 2 a.m.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a registration thing.
That reminds me of two things I got to ask Jake about. But
Oh boy. So I got pulled over in the Jeep. It was after Life Fest, I think. And
Keep talking.
was
I'm
like-
nervous the camera stopped recording. for
yeah, I
some
heard a little click.
Recording. Record.
Both going, all right, good.
all right.
I'll wait till you
Saw
sit
the
again.
green on there, so I got nervous. It was on standby. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, great.
Like that was a good
So
story.
in the Jeep, I got pulled over. It was like 2 a.m., which was probably not good either. I think I was 16 or 17.
Yeah, you were
Isn't that
definitely
or
past
something?
curfew.
Maybe that was part
that
of it
might have been
too.
why he didn't let you drive.
Yeah. And I was so tired. It was like super long day. So I was like, oh, what? I don't know what's going on. And my registration or my license had expired. That's what it was, not the registration.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a valid license. I think that's part of why.
Driver's license. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm like, right. It was like right around the corner. I'm like, I'm right there. Like, can you just follow me maybe?
You're just on the other
And, like,
side of
just
that
take me
four-way
home?
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
want to just
right.
like follow me, or I'll follow you, and just I'm right up there. Literally, you see my address.
Yeah.
He's like, no, can't let you do it. It's like, sorry, I have to be strict on this stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to wake you guys up. They're like, hey, I'm pulled over. They won't let me drive home. And then, what did we do? Did two of you guys come out and both drive or
We must
something? I
have.
forget.
Yeah, did we just come out and I drove it back or something?
We must have. I think so. Yeah.
I don't remember
Must
that.
have been.
I remember it happening, but I don't remember what
Yeah.
Yeah.
we did
I
about
was
it.
like, come on. But I guess if I got whatever,
Yeah.
if I got in an accident then and I didn't have a valid license and they knew about it and let me do it, and then my
bad.
insurance probably wouldn't have paid
Yep.
if I didn't have
Yeah,
a valid
it
license.
was-
So
they saved you
makes
from a
sense.
potential headache.
He was being
Yeah,
safe.
for sure. So, anyways, those are my only times. But what were you going to ask Jake about?
Yeah, what
Well,
were you?
two things you said. One, you said about what am I going to do? Rev the engine for the cop? Didn't the cop ask you to rev your Porsche engine
Yeah.
once?
Oh no! What?
Yeah,
Got
that
pulled
was-
over on the way to.
It seems
Chloe's?
like-
That's the only time I've ever been pulled over in this. Yeah, it was on the way. So I was playing guitar for the church praise band that morning.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go pick Chloe. I think that was the first time she came to Sheboygan, actually.
Okay.
I think that's why. But yeah, I drove. So I was driving all the way to Beaver Dam. So it was like an hour and a half drive or something to go pick her up to bring her back in time to make it for church practice. This was like at like 5 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the fun thing about this is the speedometer is just, it's a guess. It's kind of like I have to drive. It has to say 80 on the speedometer for it to be going 65. But sometimes that's like 72. So I just have like a GPS thing. Like it kind of varies because it's that spring driven thing. So I was driving. I was coming out on what is the road that went to Fond du Lac from Sheboygan? 41.
23
Was it 23? 40.
from Sheboygan to Fond du Lac?
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, the 2-lane. Yeah.
So like where it comes down from a separated highway into just a 2-lane road, it's a pretty fun road. Like it was before it was like super bumpy and bad, but it was, so it's like 5 a.m. Just started to get a little bit bright out and I was cruising. But apparently it was a 55 and I was honestly not trying to speed at all, but apparently he pulled me over and I was going like 75. So I was like, cool, nice speedometer. Way to guess on the bottom side today.
Yeah.
So I passed him and it was like foggy, like a few miles ahead, but not where I was yet. So I was just having a little fun before that. And so he flipped around and as soon as I saw him flip around, I was like, well, there's no one else out here. So I just pulled over.
me.
And he pulled over and he came up and he's just like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, I don't. Do I have like a light out? Like what? Because my lights were on. So I figured something was out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, is there a reason you're going 20 over in the fog in this like early morning? Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I was going 20 over and I had just swapped to that other set of cookie cutters that I had at the time. So I thought the tire diameter was different. So I'm like, I don't think it could be that off, but it's like, I honestly was not trying to. He's like, what are you doing right now? Like, why are you out driving? And I was like, honestly, I'm going to pick my girlfriend up and I'm playing at church today. So I'm just going to pick her up so she doesn't have to drive all the way. And then going back to Sheboygan and doing that. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, hang on a sec. So he like goes back and he like, does his check or whatever. And he comes back and he's like, I'm not going to give you anything because I think it's really cool that you're going to pick her up. You're not making her drive all the way and that you're prioritizing church and serving and doing all that. I think that's really cool. So I'm not going to give you anything, but slow it down. It's foggy. It's dangerous. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. He's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, sweet car. He's like, you want to rev it a little bit before you leave? And I was like, sure. And I was like, all right. 'Cause it's straight piped. Yeah. It feels like a trap. Yeah, no, he went back to his car and I just did like a little bit of a rev and he just like gave a thumbs up. Then I drove away.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
But yeah, that was the only
And he
interaction.
pulls you over. I think you have exhaust modifications that are illegal.
right.
Light back on. No.
Yeah.
Gets his little meter out. All right, rev it again.
But no, I always made a point because it's not a fast car. It just looks like it's bright red and it looks.
It's a cop magnet.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of attention. So I always in Sheboygan, I would always like purposely drive up next to cop. Like if they were sitting in parking lots or whatever waiting, I would always drive up next to them and like roll down my window and just be like, hey, I really appreciate you guys. Like appreciate you being a police officer, keeping Sheboygan safe. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like they were not. I don't know what they were expecting. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Who'd be dumb enough to go right next to a cop and rev the engine or something. But yeah, that was the only.
Nice.
I think that's the only. Well, other than when I snapped the timing belt on it, that was a whole other.
Yeah.
Like,
No, the
police-ish
other
thing.
story I was thinking about was the Cherokee when you had the doors off of, you had the doors removed from Howie and you were with Paul, I think.
Yes, yeah. So my first car, that was the other. That was probably that's my most fun like police interaction. Was we'd pulled the doors off my Grand Cherokee. It was a really really hot summer day, and like all the other Jeeps get to pull their doors off, so we're like we should too. So
You see all the Jeeps with their doors off, and you're like, I have a Jeep.
Yeah.
Doesn't
literally that was as much thought
Wrangler
as went
versus
into
Grand
it.
Cherokee. You're like, I guess it's allowed. I'm
No
allowed
more
to pull
thought
doors
necessary.
off.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, we took them off, and we even fabricated the mirrors off that moped. Remember, we made the bracket.
That's right.
To put
fit
the
on the
mirrors
door
because I
hinge.
looked it up. I did look up the laws. I googled it, and all I could find was you needed to have 2 mirrors facing back. So you had the center one, and then you needed one of the outside ones, which I think is actually why that does not have a left mirror right now. I think I
That's
broke it.
hilarious. Yep.
I'm pretty sure. I think I just remember that. Sorry, Chloe.
Yep.
So we took the doors off, had to wire up like jumpers and stuff so it wouldn't just leave the lights on all the time.
Yeah.
So we did it at night. I think it was at night, and we like drove it through the drive-through at McDonald's, which is like the most uncomfortable, awkward thing ever because there's like nothing there.
You're like, I'm right here.
They're just like, hi, and you grabbed it, and they're like, you have a minivan. Like, what are you doing? So we the next day, so like I did, it was fine that night. So the next day, I just drove it around. I had to go to the bank for something. And I was like depositing a check, and this guy, a police officer, came out of the bank, and he was doing some investigation thing. And like, I don't know what he must have been having a really rough day or something. He was just not happy. He just told me, he's like, I could impound your car. Like I could arrest you right now, all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
But he was telling me a lot about his investigation that was going on. It just was really weird. And so I was just, sorry, officer, sorry. I'll bring it back. I had no clue. Like I'll put the doors back on. I thought this was fine because I had the mirror. And he's just like, wow, he's all upset.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that was a bummer. So I drove it back to, it was when you had your shop in Oostburg.
Yep.
And so I drove it back to the shop, and I had called you, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like my buddy's coming over to go on a drive right now, and this police officer told me I can't do this. Like, I guess I'll put the doors back on. Do you think I can get away with doing it around the block once? I just wanted to do that. And you're like, yeah, I don't see why not. Like, just be careful. Don't do anything dumb. So he shows up, and we hop in. We're just going to do that big block and like the big country road. Like no one out there. It's Oostburg.
From the shop.
Yeah, there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
So we get in, we go down Main Street of Oostburg and take the left to go south. So we're like middle of nowhere. And like, of course, on one of those country roads, there's a sheriff's car coming the other way. And so he passes us, and we both, is like, we just like look up in the mirror.
Yeah.
And then he like turned around. We're like, so we just pulled over.
Yeah.
And then, which is the most uncomfortable thing ever, because like no doors. So you're sitting there, and then he just like
shows up
right there. And it's not even like in our Wrangler, like they have more reinforcements in the chassis.
Right.
So like it doesn't go all the way down. This was just like, it's just
Like to your feet.
Yeah.
All the way down. You're just
like in
sitting
the
a
Wrangler,
chair.
it's like a
floorboard behind
Yeah.
the seat. The
Yeah.
whole big.
So he just comes up, and you're like, when do I look? Hi, officer.
Oh, hi.
And both of them came up. There's two of them, and they came up on both sides of the car.
Oh.
And so we're like, hi. And he just comes up. He's like, why? Like, why? And I was like, honest with them. I was like, it's really hot out. Like, I was bored. I know Jeeps do this. Like, I don't know. I did the mirror thing. Like, am I good? And he's like, no, that's not fine. And I was like, well, I have the law here pulled up. Like, this is what I found for it. And he's just like, no. He's like, no. There's like a completely other code for this. It's like, can I see your phone? I'm like, yeah. So he like looks it up. And literally it was pretty much like if the car came with doors, it needs to have doors on it. It was like literally what it said in the thing. He's like,
doors not designed to be
applies.
removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the
that
thing.
makes
I'm like,
sense.
oh. And he's like, the reason is because there's no reinforcement from like side impact. So if you got hit on the side right now, like your door has that beam in it. Wranglers have more
Right.
reinforcement below. But
Yeah.
he's like, you guys would be toast. So it's for your safety. And we're like, oh. And then he just, I feel like, I don't know how much of the story is remembered like in rose-colored glasses or how
Yeah.
much really happened. But from what I recall from the story, he like leaned over to the other guy, and they like started talking about like, dude, you remember like we used to do this back in the day with our parents' cars, and like, yeah, we used to take the doors off and stuff. And so they just kind of like talked and hung
That's
out.
cool.
And so we stood there and talked about it for a while, and he saw the blue underlighting, and he's just like, oh, dude, that's cool. And then,
Did he though?
yeah, he did. For sure that happened.
Yeah. You really liked all the blue.
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't gonna give you a ticket, but I saw this. So, dude.
Yeah, right.
But no, then they didn't give us anything. He's just like, he's like, you got to go back and put the doors on though. It's for your own safety. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do you want to follow us back? Like, I'm gonna do it. And he's like, no, I trust you. You're fine. So,
Did you have the rear doors off too?
no, just the front.
Just the front.
It
too.
looked horrible.
It probably looked hilarious.
Right,
Do you have any
weird,
pictures of
yeah.
that?
I don't think so. Oh, actually, I think I do have a picture of us from the drive-through at night because it was like for some reason there's blood all over my car. I don't know where I got that from.
Probably when
river?
you drove in the When you
Oh,
drove
yeah,
in the
we
river.
did that.
It was probably then.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, that was my most fun cop story because it was two in the same day. Because he also was like, because I said I talked to an officer. That's how the law thing came up. I was like, I talked to an officer earlier, and he told me that like this was the rule for it. And he's like, what did he tell you? And I was like, he told me this one. And he's like, oh, no. That has nothing to do with this. There's literally, and then that's when he found the other one. And then he told me, he's like, yeah, that guy should not have told you as much as he did about his investigation. Like,
Oh, you
that's
told him?
Funny.
Yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, he said this though, and he was gonna impound me or whatever. And he's like, no, dude. They were really cool though. They were super neat. But yeah, it was just fun because he didn't like, he wasn't upset at all. He's just, he's like, dude, why?
Yeah,
That's
so
hilarious.
What are you doing?
That's great.
But yeah, that's my most fun one. And then recently, the most recent one that happened was in our wagon. Chloe and I were doing, we used to do the jammy raids all the time, doing like McDonald's or whatever, like late at night. And so Chloe and I the other night, we were like, dude, we really want to go to Taco Bell. Like we just want to go get some food. So we had like sweatpants on, hopped in the Volkswagen, and we're right downtown here in Oconomowoc. And it was like coming up to the light, and it had turned yellow. And I was like, I got time. And so, and she had enough time to be like, you should stop. And I'm like, I'm fine. And then rolled through.
That's too much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
She had
Or not
time
enough
to
time.
think about it
Yeah.
and say it.
And so there was a police officer sitting at the light, like, and the crossways or whatever. And I went through and it was like, pulling up to it, red. And I was like, ah. And so I just pulled over. And he came out and just like slowly, didn't flip his lights on, just slowly pulled up behind me, parked. He comes over and he's like, I think you know why I'm here. And Chloe's like, I told him to stop. He's like, yeah, it kind of looked like something like that was happening. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he's like, I'm not going to give you anything, but where are you guys going? What's up? We're like, we're just going to Taco Bell. He's like, oh, that sounds cool. Cool. Well, anyway, yeah, have a good night.
Oh, funny.
Like, do you want a taco?
Yeah. You want anything, sir?
I think that's the only time I've ever been pulled over. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. Other than when I got T-boned in the Passat, that wasn't really pulled over. That was just him like, dude, you okay?
Yeah, right.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I've always I've had nothing but cool interactions. Like, with most police officers, just if you're cool, you're honest with them.
So it
Tell them
seems
what's
like,
going on.
Well,
yeah.
Don't be too honest, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just want to hear my
There's a
exhaust.
theme here.
Honestly, though, I think if you would have tried to like make up some weird excuse for it, of just like, oh my gosh, what? But for you to just be like, I mean, it's kind of like what you were talking about, just like
Yeah.
from back in the day. It's
Just tell it like it is.
this
You
is
know.
Yeah.
this
Yep.
is the reality of this.
That's
like,
always
Yep.
been.
yeah, why were you
Just
going
like-
20 over? Like, was I really? And like, no, like my speedometer guesses. I'm really sorry. I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
harder to do
respect
that with like a new car.
Yeah.
Dude, it's digital. I can see it right there. Like, what do you mean?
do an instant replay on your dashboard.
Yeah.
This is how fast you went.
They'll probably get there at some point.
Yeah, probably.
Like, do you know how fast you were going? Like, no. Well, let me just check. And they just plug their.
I was thinking
phone
about
into
that
the car.
with the like electric car thing. Like, I wonder how long they'll just like issue a speeding ticket. Like, yeah,
Well,
we know
yeah,
you're
you
going
can
this
think about,
fast on
like,
this road.
self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
everything will be recorded.
Well, the self-driving cars won't probably be able to speed if they're in self-driving mode
Right. They won't.
Think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
until you can like jailbreak your Tesla,
Yeah.
That's gonna be wild.
and then
Maybe
like
hackers are gonna
you
be,
can
the
make
most
it go like
notorious
10 miles an hour
drifters.
over
Yeah.
in self-driving mode.
You know what it would be
Yeah.
too is like you jailbreak it and it would be able to speed and it would look like Windows XP. Like they would do some update to it, like all the menus look like that.
Yeah,
It'd be
right.
something
No, they'll probably
weird.
be
It's
able
all
to speed it and make
folders.
it look like it's not speeding. So if a cop like gets like
Oh.
a downward read, it'll say you're
Yeah.
going 70 when you're like 110.
That's like the dude. Well, I told you guys that story about my uncle's Heathkit ham radio club dude that built the radar jammer and
Oh
Really?
yeah,
disappeared. I mean, maybe we'll say that for another episode.
yeah. We should talk
Yeah,
about that.
I think we're at
next
about an
episode.
hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So let's cap it here. A lot of
right.
good stories. That was cool to hear about that stuff because like we don't know a lot about your first car stuff.
Yeah.
We knew about the cars and like I thought
Thought
it was
we
so
did.
cool and that's what got us into
Yeah.
doing our stuff.
Yeah.
But I know there's other cars in there. One car I took a slide on in some sandy pants.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That I want to
That
talk
was a
about in
good
the
one.
next one.
Yeah.
One that inspired.
Yeah.
This guy over here.
Potatoes, yep, crunches the can.
Still mad about that one.
He's like, I need a sec. Hold on.
But that was cool. That was really good to hear about. So
Nice.
awesome. Anything else we want to do before we wrap it up?
No, what's our we tend to do like a tip at the end. What was the tip that we've done
tip?
that for like all of them?
Always be honest when you get pulled over.
Yeah,
That's
be
our
honest.
tip.
That's the tip of the day.
Yeah, just be honest. Be cool when you get pulled over. Won't always work all the time. It might still get a ticket if you're
Yeah.
doing something
I
wrong.
think
but-
they appreciate honesty above
Yeah.
all, though, especially these days.
Yeah.
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 Actions have consequences, but they're usually cool guys. They understand.
Yep.
Yep.
So
They've heard
And
it all.
hopefully
They've heard
they've
it
got
all.
cool cars too that they want to show you, or they'll ask
Yep.
you to rev your engine.
Yeah.
That didn't
never
work
know.
for me.
Or they'll tell you to finally get your car registered. But cool. All right. Thanks for
Cool.
listening, everybody.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Cool.
I don't know what the song is anymore. What's it sound like?
I don't know. I started. I was like, that was the wrong key.
That's
dude.
not it.
Oh, funny.
I don't know why I went with the melody line, not the bass line. This is probably all going to stay in. So out.